Ladies and gentlemen, today is an important day because we have a very special announcement for the future of the Parallax and what comes next, as well as talking about what's going on in the news. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, starting things off, I want to talk about the Parallax real quick. In the beginning, we started as a media company. We launched the Parallax Genesis, and now we are actually introducing the next phase of everything that's going on. Now, if you're a holder and you've been following on our Discord, you kind of already got some of the sneak peeks and updates. For those who have not seen the updates quite yet, you can go ahead and check out Moon Zero on Twitter or X. This is where we're going to be starting something fresh, something new, something that is related to the Parallax Genesis. So this is where you're going to be following along. Now, so far, obviously it's a mystery of what's going on, right? It's just the logo. There's no images or anything, right? We're gonna be announcing some stuff real soon, but before we do, I wanna give you a chance to follow along, check out the Parallax Genesis, check out what's going on in our Discord, and then you can learn more and see, what we have in store for you. Now, getting into some of this week's stories, the first project I wanna talk about is gonna be this one called Zentry. Now, I do know some of the co-founders at this company, and so long story short, Zentry is a new project, but it actually is just a rebrand of another project called GuildFi. So originally GuildFi was created something like a guild during that time when it was really hot. They raised over, I believe, $100 million, right? So basically they are extremely well funded. And so what they've done is they actually pivoted. I suppose what they were doing didn't work the way they wanted to work. So now they're moving into a new area where they are building the game of games. So what does that mean exactly? Well, talking to the co-founder, in person during my time in Hong Kong last week, from my understanding, what it is they're trying to gamify any kind of experience, right? So whether it's a reward system, a raffle system, some kind of gaming community, every community there is a possibility to reward people in a gamified way. I guess they are kind of using their own tech first, and then they're going to slowly use it for other projects, is my guess. If you watch this video, basically it's like this really nice way to do a gamification point system, right? We've seen point systems before, like Zeely, Gauge, which are pretty common in the NFT space. And so I guess they're trying to more professionalize it, create it into a software that other people can use, and somehow tie it into their token, which hopefully they can reward people, right? So right now it's kind of early days. You kind of need a invite to join, and you will see a lot of people posting, sending their invite codes for you to start. But it's definitely interesting because this team has a lot of money, right? So they have a lot of ways to incentivize users, and clearly they're building a tool to incentivize crypto community. So it's definitely something you want to watch out for, especially because they're so deep into gaming. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is going to be Story Protocol. So now we did talk about these guys before, but there has been some updates recently, right? So basically Story Protocol is a new infrastructure. I believe it's gonna either be a layer 1 or layer 2. It's not announced yet. So essentially it's infrastructure for IP. So one of the more recent updates they had was basically in this Azuki scene. I'm not sure if they actually worked with Azuki or if this is just an example, but I probably just an example, to be honest. So they're basically saying, like, imagine if you had a anime scene where you're able to switch out the clothes of the character based on whatever NFT that you hold, right? And so based on the NFT, you're gonna get royalties based on how many people watched. So it's an idea that where you can basically find a way to reward different people that have different licenses, right? This is pretty far out into the future. I would say it's gonna be a long time before this actually happens, mainly because if you're a holder of like a Zuki, then they use your particular sweater in this thing, right? The reality is, like, how much money are they actually paying that person? It's probably not that much. And so it's not really worth the money to go through all this pain. Probably the cost of implementing the tech right now is significantly higher than the money paid out to the license holder. But there could be a future where, for example, you can, let's say somebody sells a movie on Netflix, and then you could swap out the different advertisements or different like soda cans. Brands actually pay money to put their logos into movies. So maybe that's a programmable way to do it. So that might be interesting in the future, right? Especially with AI and everything to make that process like really smooth. But regardless of how far into the future this use case is, the reality is, they can probably sell a token as long as they have a clear vision of what the future might look like, and people can speculate on the token, right? So I think that's really an interesting dynamic where it could be a real product, but at the same time, even if it never comes out, they can still sell a token. And we've seen many other projects in the past sell tokens without having a product until like years later, and still maybe they don't have a product. So that's a game we all kind of play, and this is a very interesting narrative in the IP sector for sure. So I'm curious to see what other innovations and use cases Story Protocol may have. Right now there's no way or clear way to earn a token, but something to definitely follow. By the way, if you're not already, you want to make sure you are following me on Twitter at PatrickDan, because this is where I'm going to be tweeting on the daily, because we got some great stuff coming on. Make sure to turn on notifications because something is coming real soon. On other news, we're gonna see BlackPink. So BlackPink is going to be launching some NFTs through Veve, right? And so Veve, if you didn't know, they are a company that acquired a lot of licenses for a lot of IPs like Spider-Man, Batman, Cars, Star Wars, Marvel. So you name it, they got a lot of them, right? And so what I understand is I believe they bought all these licenses for cheap when nobody understood the power of NFTs. And then they were able to sell a bunch of them as digital collectibles with no like real value. And then I think they made over 100 mil from selling these collectibles. So the next thing they're doing is going to be this BlackPink one. I guess it's just like a digital collectible, join waitlist, collect. So if you hold the pink Venom card, which you have to collect all 4 poses, you're eligible to participate in a craft to purchase event for a next exclusive digital collectible. What does a collectible give you? Right, that's the question. So it's kind of like buy these ones to get the next one, right? I think the challenge here is like, it's not really Web3. I feel like they just kind of had the license and they're just trying to make money. Don't think they really putting into account of, hey, you know, these collectibles, do they have to be worth anything? They're kind of just trying to make as much money selling a digital product, kind of like someone would if they sold a figurine, right? But I don't see much effort when it comes to maintaining the value of that product, which maybe it's not their game, right? Because Veve, they kind of just like spam basically NFTs and people just buy them, right? Because they use popular IPs. So yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting use case. So I'm following along to see how it goes. Like if you see like, let's say Marvel Digital Comics number 6, you know, you kind of see like, they're just like selling the cover of these comics in different variations, right? And so is there any value to this? Possibly not, but you know, they buy the license and make money on that. So it is what it is, but yeah, interesting indeed. All right, next one we're going to talk about is going to be Holoworld AI. So we got the metaverse narrative combined with AI, combined with crypto all together, right? I just saw this because a couple people were sharing it on X that I thought it was kind of interesting. So basically what it is you create this character that is intelligent because it has AI, and then it's kind of like a virtual companion, I suppose. I mean, the aesthetics and graphics are actually not bad. So it seems like you're able to chat with these different personalities, and you could also create your own avatar. So it's definitely an interesting model, right? So I can see that they're trying to make money from selling loot boxes and limited edition cosmetics. So it's basically playing the skin game combined with AI companion. So I mean, narrative wise, it does kind of make sense where people want a virtual friend, they get lonely. That's a kind of age where the world is moving into, you know, virtual girlfriends and things like that. And you can buy different upgrades for these people, right? So definitely is an interesting use case, but whether or not like people use it, I think it's interesting enough for them to launch a token. And I think that's probably where most people should probably look to see if there's demand for that. I mean, if you go by the view count, it seems like they're getting almost 1 million visits in a month, right? So for me and how I look at things, I would like there to be a future where people want to buy digital collectibles and assets because that's great for the industry, right? But I just wonder like if people will actually want to buy these things versus do they need like a game like Fortnite to make buying the skin relevant? Because if it's just like a virtual friend, I don't think it's compelling enough for someone to drop a lot of money. I think there needs to be that social element or factor that convinces people to like, or maybe an entertainment factor, whether it's a game or something that gets them to want to buy that skin. But I mean, I'm curious, you know, I'm following it for now, see how it goes. And so with that said, that's everything we got to cover for this video. Let me know in the comments which project you want me to cover next. I'll see you in the next one.